Tyler Peters, welcome to Thinking Bigger with Kevin Pheley. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, no problem.
So, everybody, this is Tyler Peters. Tyler owns one of the biggest jet ski rental companies on the West Coast called LuxuryJetSkiRentals here in San Diego. Truly impressive business. That's actually how we met. It's how we became friends. I want to kind of, the topic of this podcast is always thinking bigger. So how to get people to think on a different level. Maybe that's get in business. Maybe that's get a better job and just overall evolve in life. But tell everybody how you got started in business and a little bit about you.
Sure. It's funny that you say that about how we met through my business, and it's because I kept seeing your name pop up constantly. So thankfully for analytics, I was able to pull it up, and I said, oh, wow, this guy spends a lot of money here and a lot of time. So obviously I wanted to be your friend and kind of, see why you're here all the time. And, if you're coming to my business, we obviously click. But, yeah, no, I started that LuxuryJetSkiRentals about 10 years ago, kind of by accident, actually. It was my birthday, around my birthday. I was turning 19, so I was just 18, barely about to be 19. And I was on a jet ski once. I loved it. So I went to a dealership just to kind of ask how much jet skis were and things like that. And, I walked in there as 18, about to be 19, and one of the salesmen came up to me and was like, oh, you like this jet ski? I'm like, yeah, it's a cool color. It's blue. It's nice. And he said those, taglines that a salesman would tell you. He said, we can get you this jet ski, no money down. I could apply for a credit card for you, put it on a credit card. You could walk out of here today with it. And when you're 18, that's a great idea. Put it on a credit card. I don't have to pay anything, and I get a jet ski for my birthday. So we went ahead and did that. And I just remember taking it out the first time, a little intimidating. Everything was great. I'm like, yeah, I own a jet ski. And then I got the bill in the mail. And it was about $14,000 with a 24% interest rate, which anybody with any sort of monetary sense realize that that's a horrible idea. Basically, I'm spending 2% a month and giving it to the banks just as, here you go. So realize that was a horrible business move or, any sort of monetary move. So I decided to rent them out a little bit just so I could pay off the loan. That way I could have a free jet ski. And when I started to rent it out and I saw all the opportunities there, one thing led to another, and I decided to build a business around it. One jet ski went to 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 6, 8. Now, I don't even know, we're a dealership, have over 50 jet skis. We also do kayaks, paddleboards, pedal boats, boat rentals. We do the water jet pack thing. We basically do everything on the water. So started as a small jet ski operation and moved into a huge water sport operation. But that's basically start to finish where I am now.
That's awesome. And you've dealt with some celebrities. Who are the most famous people that have rented from you? Because I know guys like David Dobrik shot a video with your skis, or with the jet pack, right?
Yeah, it's funny. That actually was also by accident. We were going to shoot a video at Dan Wazarian where we're going to be flyboarding in a swimming pool. And I just remember we pull up to his house, and, as soon as we get there, there's armed guards. First thing they ask, like, what are you doing here? And we're like, no, relax, we're invited. So we go up there, and Dan's just like, you're going to put a jet ski in my swimming pool? And we're like, yeah, which is 4 stories up. So, we had to ordered a crane. Crane was too small. It was a big crane, but too small for, his house, and 4 stories. So it just almost got it there and, didn't make it all the way. So then we were talking to David Dobrik, and he's like, well, I'll just do it in my pool. So, yeah, we shot a video with them. Had a couple famous people come out. Charlie Puth's band came out, did a bunch of stuff with us, and got free tickets to his show, which was pretty cool. Been working with other people. Had some sports athletes come out. A lot of local celebrities and stuff like that as well.
Nice. That's really cool.
Yeah.
So I really like how you sort of fell into business, which a lot of people think that you have to have a plan to go into business. But what I've noticed is most entrepreneurs, they just have this like, well, I just kind of fell into this and it happened, right? For me, I sort of fell into it. For you, it did. For anybody that's looking to start a business, what would you tell them if they're thinking about leaving their job, whether they have money or don't? What should they do?
So I always tell people, when you want to start a business, it's all about, it's what separates the entrepreneurs from a, regular 9-to-5 worker, an employee versus an entrepreneur or a business owner. It's really all sink or swim. You have to jump out of that airplane and build a parachute on the way down. Nobody tiptoes into the water of entrepreneurship where they're slowly walking into it with a safety net and, they're ready to go in case they fall back or fail. They have something ready. The most successful entrepreneurs are people that have no backup plan. And I always tell people, if you have a plan B, your plan A will fail.
Yeah.
It's just, if you have that backup plan, your mindset is already set as, okay, don't worry about this because I have this backup plan. That's why I don't have a spare tire in my car. I don't get flat tires. Same concept, but
He's gonna get a flat tire today.
I know. No, definitely not. But no, it's really about, same thing as I did sink or swim. When I got that bill in the mail for a huge bill, I just realized that, okay, I need to do something or else I'm going to sink. I'm not going to be able to afford this. So same as a lot of other people, they, start a business and they're like, this is all I have. A lot of motivational people, they say like, they put their all into it. They didn't have a backup plan. They didn't even have a place to fail. It was, failure wasn't an option.
Yep.
If I fail, that's the end of my, everything. So same as me, I went in there, didn't have a plan B, and it was, I gave my all. I took that leap. I jumped into the deep end and just built everything around me to keep myself afloat.
Dude, that's and I just posted a video today telling people that the number one thing, and really I think the only thing that's going to separate people from being successful versus not successful, and this is in anything. This is in relationships, this is in business, this is in personal, this is in sports, whatever. The only people that are successful are the ones that don't give up. And the ones that aren't successful are the people that give up. You notice a trend of people starting something, giving up, and trying something else. Starting something, giving up, and trying something else. It's the people that don't give up. So like when you started Luxury Jet Ski Rentals, I know that you had a tremendous amount of ups and downs in the beginning, but you didn't give up.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's the biggest thing.
Yeah. I remember one time too, this is when I started having employees, and I had a good business built around it. And I just remember looking at my payroll deadline for my employees, and I told myself, and I looked at my bank account, and it was either I pay my employees or I eat dinner. So I submitted my payroll, and I had 15 cents left to my name for a couple of days until some of my transactions cleared. And that's basically, do you give up? Do you stop? Do you protect yourself? And it's like, no, you just keep going. You don't stop. You don't give yourself a backup plan. You just give it your all. Your people take care of you, and you just keep going.
Yeah, and there's always a way. If you just find a way, there's always a way. And I think the biggest thing is leaving no other option. Like when you said that if you have a plan B, you're already screwed, it's totally right. And we see that. So I own a company called cheapassleads.com, and we sell leads to real estate agents. And the ones that do the best are the ones that go in. They're like, I'm going to do everything I can to make this work. And if it doesn't work, oh well, but I'm going to try it for a year. Those are the people that do the best. If they don't, give it that time, if they don't put the work in, if they, a lot of people want it to work out right away. And a lot of people want business to work out like that. So people will go into business for themselves, and then they will, see after 3, 6, 12 months that it's hard as fuck, and then they'll give up. Yeah. And they're not around. They're back working in a job, which working in a job isn't bad. I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs shit on people, but entrepreneurship is not for most people.
No.
Right? Most people, I think people should own businesses, but not necessarily start and build. So if you're somebody who's not necessarily a creative person, but you're good at like the operation side of things, you should buy a franchise, like a Subway, where everything is already cut out and you just have to run the shit.
Yeah, that's kind of like what you do at, Cheap Ass Leads. You set everybody up for success. You give them every blueprint you have and what to do. And just like you said, you can't really spoon feed everybody. Some people just do it or they don't. And then, they fail on it. But yeah, same thing there.
So what did you make in your first month in business?
Oh God, first month in business. It's been a long time.
Roughly, just give a ballpark.
I mean, I would say maybe $1,000, if that.
And what do you make on an average month now?
If we're not clearing a couple $100,000, something's wrong.
Yeah.
So
even in the slow season, right?
Yeah. So we're open year round. It definitely slows down, but we're constantly open.
And how long was it into having the business? Did you get to that point where you were like, you breathe a sigh of relief, right? You hit this point in business where you were like, okay, the bills are paid. I'm not worried. I'm not tripping on cutting payroll. I'm not worried about feeding myself. And now I got some money left over coming in. How long did it take you to get to that point? Because that's where everybody wants to be. And I feel like people think that it's going to take a lot of work to get there, and it may take a couple years, but how long did it take you to get to that point where you're able to breathe that sigh of relief?
Well, that's exactly like what you were just saying, is it does take a couple of years. A lot of people, they want the get rich quick. They want the money today, tomorrow. They want it to, they want to check their bank account and see all the validation for everything that they've been working through. But your first couple of years, I'm sure you can agree as well. The first couple of years of entrepreneurship, you work for free. You don't pay yourself. You could try to pay yourself, but it's just going to, down the road negatively affect you in your business. You're not going to be able to grow as fast. So it definitely took a couple of years, I would say about 2, to hit my validation period, where I felt like, all the time and effort and energy I was pouring into was actually paying me back. At least 2 years.
Yeah, and that's what it was for me too. Is about that 2-year mark where things started to make sense, because you've been through. So the first year you go through business and it's all new, right?
Yeah.
Like you see a full year of business and everything is new. But then your next year, you see January again, right? How the business was, especially in a business like yours where it's seasonal.
Yeah.
Now you know what to sort of expect. So the first year in business is purely just laying the foundation and exposing yourself to new things. Your second year in business is like listening to a song or watching a movie again. You hear and see things that you didn't the first time that you listened to it. So the more you do that and the more you stick around, it just gets better and better and better. And it's just like, playing a season of baseball or football or a sport or whatever. The more you do something, the more it gets ingrained in you, and you have the stomach for it.
Yeah.
And business, it takes a lot to stomach that first year. But if you can get through year 1 and you can get through year 2, you can get through year 20, 30, 40. Like you can do this. But you have to get through to the point where you're actually being successful, and it takes some time.
Yeah, definitely. So the success portion is what a lot of people forget, where some people do give it their all, and year 1 goes by, year 2, year 3, year 4. And at some point you have to, take a step back and realize, is this profitable? Is it a successful business? Because if you're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years and nothing is working, I always say just take it behind the barn and shoot it. Move on. Go, use all that effort, energy into something else. But, year 1, the thing is with starting a business and being an entrepreneur is no one teaches you this stuff. You can go out and you can buy whatever course or whatever mastermind, but at the end of the day, no one is going to teach you what you're going to learn doing it yourself. So like when I hear people talking about they want to start a business and they want to do this, and as soon as I start asking about their ideas and how they're going to start it, they're like, oh, well, I'm going to hire this guy's going to do this, and we're bringing this person in to build this. I just stop them right there. I could already see down the road they're not going to be successful. So like when you start a business, you need to do everything. You need to walk in there and try everything and see, for yourself what can be done, what can't be done. You need to have that trial and error, because if you're hiring other people, your first year in business is kind of like what you say, you're kind of learning as you go. But if you have other people do stuff for you, you don't learn anything. Year 2 is going to be the same as year 1. So it's all trial and error. So, you hit it right on the head where you said year 1, and then year 2, you learn from year 1. Year 3, you're more successful because you understand everything. And I'm sure to this day, you probably have some of your employees say, oh, wow, how'd you know how to do that? Or how'd you do that? Or why'd you do that?
Right.
It's because you've already dealt with it.
Yep.
You're now a seasoned person that's dealt with that, that event or basically that issue. So
yeah, and everybody talks about starting a business like your experience starts when you start the business, but your experience can be from learning from another business. So for me, I've only had this business for like 6 years, but I've been in business for almost 10, because I count the 5 years that I worked for a credit card processing company where I'm learning from these guys. I'm sitting next to the CEO and the VP and all of these guys, and I'm watching them build and grow this company, and I'm absorbing all of this stuff. So sometimes my employees, like Donald and I had a conversation where he was like, hey, how'd you know how to do that so fast? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh man, I've been doing this for so long, like I didn't even realize that I was absorbing it. And Donald is working for me, 5-10 years down the road, somebody will ask you the same thing, and you'll realize how much you learned when you were here. And I always say, like, if you're in a sales job or if you're in a job where you're able to watch somebody build, operate, and grow a company, that's college. That's the same as college, and probably
Absolutely.
1,000 times more valuable.
Yeah. And, I actually went to college. It's funny, I started my business and then went to college for business. And the stuff that I learned in college for business was nothing about what I learned in the real world. So, I agree with that. And it's funny you were talking about Donald, because I could see what you're talking about in him, where he's at that verge of, little Kevin, where he's about to branch off and do his own thing. But let me ask you this. The people that you used to work with at the credit card processing company, do you still follow them? Do you know where they are today? Or
Yeah, we talk like monthly.
did they start their own company?
What do you mean?
Did they go branch out from their credit card processing? Did they start their own company? Or
No,
are
they
still
own the
employed?
company. The guys that I worked for before owned their own company.
Yeah,
and
but what about your coworkers? You had coworkers.
Oh,
right?
no.
They still work for
No,
somebody?
I think maybe one person did out of like hundreds of people that I met there.
Exactly. So when you're talking about how you were absorbing all this information, and that's right there is what separates the entrepreneur and the employee. You know, you're sitting there absorbing this information, you're seeing these people where they are, and I'm sure you're like, how do I get to where they are? You know, I want to be like them. I want to be better than them. I want to be in the, you know, where they are in life. I want to be there. So when, you know, you're talking about, or we're talking about entrepreneurship versus a employee, that right there is what separates them. So you absorbing that information is why you are where you are today, because you absorb that.
That's a really good point.
The other people that you worked with, your coworkers, they probably still work in the 9 to 5, which, you know, there's nothing wrong with that, because as we both can agree, we need those people to run our business.
Right.
So we definitely need employees. However, there's always that one or two people that takes a step aside and says, you know, that's something I could do. I could be like them. I want to be like them. I want to be where they are. So.
Yeah, and the biggest thing that I realized, that's a really good point. And the biggest thing that I realize is entrepreneurs, like when you look at the big dogs, right? You look at the Grant Cardones, the, you know, billionaires, you look at all these guys that have hit that peak in business. They all have one thing in common, and it's, well, they all have a lot of things in common, which is like drug addiction, criminal behavior, you know, they have a past.
Okay.
And what I've noticed is a lot of these guys, the reason why they're successful in business correlates to that. It's because they're risk takers.
Absolutely.
And the thing that a lot of employees are is they're comfortable. They want to go with the sure thing rather than risking something. But I'll tell you, working in a 9 to 5 for 99% of people is extremely uncomfortable. But they're afraid to leave that comfort zone, which is already not that comfortable, to go start their own thing, or to go get that better job, or to go pursue their passion. And they don't realize that if that doesn't work, they can always go back to that shitty job that they really don't like. They can always go back. But, you know, when you're young, you know, I don't know, man. I don't know a lot of people that can build a business at 50 like they can at 20.
Absolutely.
When you got kids, you got the wife, you got the house, you can't take those kind of risks. So if you're young, even if you're not, but if you're young and you're thinking about leaving your job or getting a different job or trying to pursue something else, I am telling you that if you don't do it, you are going to regret it. And it's a lot harder to work a job that you hate than to go risk it to try and do your own thing. You know, it's, I mean, yeah.
And the thing is, too, is time never stops. The carousel keeps on churning. That's what I always say. So picture back when you were a kid and, you know, you were 1, 2, 3, 4, and it was a long time ago. You probably can't remember it. But do you remember waiting until the next holiday or your next birthday? It just seemed like it was forever, right? Taking a long time versus now, all of a sudden, we're like, oh, shoot, it's almost Christmas, or like 4th of July is next weekend, or, you know, our birthday's coming up again. You know, time's moving faster. And there's this, like, phenomenon where, you know, let's say you're 1 year old and you're waiting to your next birthday. In your mind, if 1 year is half of your life, which is why it seems like it takes a long time for when you were a kid, time moves by slower versus now. If when you're in your 30s, 1 year is like 1/30th of your life. So time keeps moving faster and faster. So when you're talking about that 50-year-old that isn't taking that leap into entrepreneurship, or, you know, the 20-year-olds, I say the same thing. You know, I've heard people say like, oh, I want to set myself up for this, or I want to do this down the road. I just ask them why. You know, time's moving faster as we're getting older. Why would you wait till tomorrow? I actually have a good friend of mine that was interested in buying a house. And I remember speaking to them, and they said, oh, yeah, we're going to start looking next year, and we're going to, you know, plan to buy a house. And I told them, and I asked them, I'm like, do you know anybody that has bought real estate and said, I am so glad I waited to buy real estate? No. Everybody's always, you know, always says that I'm thankful I bought it now. And sure enough, same thing with them. Fast forward, you know, they have $100,000 in equity in their place, and they couldn't be thankful enough.
Right.
So it's the same thing. Is like, why does anybody wait to do something tomorrow? Tomorrow's not promised. If you want to wait till tomorrow to start a business, you might not even be around. Right. So you guys, you need to start business today. You need to make those decisions today. You need to jump in to the things you're not comfortable with today, and just carousel keeps on churning. Jump into the deep end today, learn to swim, and keep yourself afloat tomorrow.
Sick, dude. I love it. So let's talk about diversification, like having multiple streams of income. And I want to start by saying that everybody always says this. every millionaire made it because they had multiple streams of income, which is true, right?
Yeah.
The average has what, 7
streams of income.
Okay, so that's true. But what they don't realize is they didn't go build 7 at once. They got one that got, like, we both have our one main thing that brings in the most amount of money at once.
Absolutely.
And then you take that money and put it into other things. So I see so many young entrepreneurs mess up because they want to do affiliate marketing. They want to start a digital marketing company. They want to do an Amazon company. They're not making any money and they want to build 7 things at once. And I did that too. When I first started, I tried to do all this stuff on YouTube because all these YouTubers made it seem so easy. But what I didn't realize is you have to go hard on one thing and then take that money that you're making and go use it to build other streams of income. So tell the people, the audience, how you've done that.
Well, you know, I have heard about that, and I've heard people talking about, oh, they're doing this, this, and that. They're doing this for 4 hours a day, then this and that. And the thing is you're just going to burn yourself out. Why would you do 7 things mediocre where, you know, you're half-assing everything versus become a master and complete one task and get one thing done and move on to the next phase of income? I tell people, if you could duplicate yourself in your business where feel like you've reached, you know, somewhat of a climax, or at least you're still on the up and up, and you could duplicate yourself, take yourself away from that business where there's residual income and you're making the same thing, then yeah, take yourself away, start on your next stream of income. That's the best thing to do.
Dude, that's golden. And speaking of gold, imagine that 6 feet underground, right? Imagine there's a bunch of gold, all the gold that you would ever need. But you go out and you start digging 10 different holes, and they're all 2 feet deep, right? Well, you just dug 20 feet down if you look at everything that you've done. But because of all these different holes, you've only dug a portion down. So you never got to the gold. So if you had stuck to one thing long enough to get to the gold, then you can start working on something else. But because you put all of that time, all of that energy and effort into digging, you didn't get deep enough because you were doing too many things at once and you weren't focused and you didn't get it. I think that's a mistake.
In that analogy, though, people are digging those 10 holes and they have that gold nugget is what they see. So same thing as when people are creating these multiple streams of income, they get their gold nugget. They get their little bit of validation. Oh, I made a little bit of money here, so obviously it works. Move on to this next thing where they're digging those 10 holes and they got one gold nugget, versus if they can master one hole there and get to the gold bars and all the streams of gold that they can, and then be able to duplicate themselves, they could flow themselves into their next stream of income, where now that they have one solid income, they could build one successfully, kind of like what you were talking about, instead of just getting the one gold nugget out of each hole.
But yeah, so what are you invested in? So you have the business, I know you have real estate. What else?
Yeah, so obviously I have my main stream, the business that I do have. I have a couple of rental properties. I'm in building rental properties internationally. Invest in the market, the crypto market, and just started to invest into real estate flipping. That's something I actually just was signing my forms today for, actually. So,
nice.
New stream of income, but I feel like I've mastered my first stream of income, so I can start duplicating. And I do have a couple of streams of income that I feel like are already mastered. So moving on to all these other ones, I feel validated for.
Nice. Yeah, that's really good. Mm-hmm. Awesome. What tips do you have for anybody that is thinking about starting a business?
So there is no thinking. It's either you're going to do it or you don't. I hate when people say, like, I'm thinking about something or I'm trying something. There's no such thing as trying. You ever tried to use the bathroom? You either went or you didn't, right? So
damn.
Same thing. It's just don't try to do something. Don't think about doing something. Either commit or don't. Move on with your life. If you're not going to do it, just be honest about it. Just say, I'm not going to do this. I'm all talk. I'm going to think about it. That's just a easy way of them saying that they want to, but they're not going to do it. So either they're going to do it or they won't. And that's what I feel they should do. They should obviously do it, because there's so many more. It's more rewarding to have a business than to not have a business.
So Tyler, I think this is a pretty good place to end it. Where can people find you on social media? And if they're in San Diego, where can they rent a jet ski from you?
Yeah, so whether they need, jet skis, boats, kayaks, paddleboards, anything to hit the water, they can go to LuxuryJetSkiRentals.com. That's going to be the best way to make a reservation. If they look us up on any review site, we are the highest rated, so it's easy to find us anywhere on any review site.
Cool. Thank you for coming in.
No problem.